for
If
second.
you need me, I'm just gonna be
What?
next to you.
All right. So, all
Oh,
right.
Forks is already salmon. That's crazy. Like, what the hell? Oh,
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 I'm gonna
now
drop
Archie
you into the
salmon.
next
Oh, this
real
debate is like very close, bro. What the fuck is
quick.
going
Oh
on?
my god. RG, are you there?
Who's judge?
Who's judge? Wait, do you want to judge?
It's up to you. I thought you just said you wanted to judge. My bad.
No. I said I don't really care about judges.
Oh yeah, me neither. Pretty
Yeah.
sure we can get to general consensus before then.
All right, cool. Anyway, so just
Also,
like,
K-Funk, your auntie's dead and she has 24
oh,
nipples.
That's cool. You can be quiet now.
I.
Shut up, nigga.
okay, so just as like an introduction to everybody in the room, right now we're talking about veganism, just as like a general topic. Should we be vegan? Is that like a lifestyle choice that we should make? And I happen to be on the side that we should go vegan, and Archie is. That's your cue.
Oh. What's good, niggas? I'm anti-vegan, nigga. I like eating all the meat in the world. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'm joking. I'm anti-vegan. I take the stance to where I don't think it's a moral necessity to eat meat or to not eat meat. I'm more for the remaining factor. Just think that I have the obligation to, and that's pretty morally permissible. That's my stance.
Okay. Hold on, let me mute my notifications because they're ringing like crazy right
Actually,
now.
can you please mute or timeout Grader? Saying he's like sending really like disgusting shit like for no reason, trying to like get attention. It's just not it. It's just not it, bro.
Oh, L-mans. Okay. So yeah, let's just get into it if you don't mind. So, I first of all, let's just start with like a very basic question. Do you think that when it comes to the animal agriculture industry at large, that anything wrong is going on? Let's just start there.
No.
No? Okay. So are you aware kind of what they do, how they raise animals for slaughter, by the millions, by the billions even?
You could elaborate more if you want, because my knowledge may be like misinformed.
Yeah, so like this, like the general thing is that they raise like billions of animals per year for slaughter, for human consumption. Do you acknowledge that is a bad thing, or do we need to get into why that's a bad thing?
I don't think it's a bad thing per se.
Okay. So when we're talking about like the suffering of billions of creatures, I mean these are conscious creatures, they're alive. I would say that animals have an expressible to live. So why is it, I would ask you, that raising these creatures for slaughter is something that is permissible? Do you have like a reason why it is?
For me, like I've been like this all my life. My family kind of raised me like this. I don't really assign any I don't really assign any animal intrinsic value per se. I think that their only use is kind of serving us. That's just why I think that they can do other things that benefit themselves and may benefit others, but I mean, I don't really care about that. You know, I was just raised to care about human beings, you know, things like that have a sentience level that high, that can make you know, judgments and shit like that. Not like first level judgments like, oh shit, this hurts, so I'm gonna run away from it, like slaughter its face, even though, you know, obviously some animals don't think like that, but even they think at kind of a lower level too at the same time. So I don't really care much about them.
Sure, absolutely. So I would absolutely agree that animals tend to think on a lower level than human beings. And I would not make the argument that animals should have equal value to human beings, only that they have sufficient value to deserve to live and not suffer. So I understand that you were kind of raised this way to eat meat. Personally, I was as well. But I'm curious, however, because you said something very interesting. You said that you think that their purpose, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you said that their purpose is to kind of serve us, and kind of, I guess by extension, serve as food for us. Why is that?
I don't think that's their like only thing. I think that's what I view their purpose to be to me. You know, I just like think, hey, I'm gonna eat them because they're there. You know, it was stated in, and I don't want to be like a Mr. Batman here, but to elaborate more on why, me personally, I kind of didn't want to bring this up, but you know how I'm an Orthodox Christian, right?
Sure.
It's kind of like, yeah, that's how I was raised. You know, I think they're said here for us. You know, stated in Genesis, stated in Mark, it's recalled again back in Matthew, and even all the way back to the final gospel of the Bible, John. That's just what I feel like.
Okay. So, it's curious. So, would you say that then, that overall the reason why you believe this could be rooted in kind of scripture and what scripture is kind of prescribed the purpose of these animals to be? Would that be accurate?
What do you say?
I said, would it be accurate to say that your reasoning for finding animals is purpose, not necessarily their sole purpose, but a purpose of animals to be consumed by us? Would you say that that reason is kind of grounded in scripture? Is that an accurate representation of what
I
you might
mean, not every animal, because not every animal is edible.
of course,
But I
but
do
like
think,
the edible ones, yeah.
yeah, for like certain animals, yeah, for sure.
Okay. So we're probably gonna have to get into scripture then, if that's like a foundation for your belief.
It's true. Like, I didn't want to make this like a, you know,
Mhm.
scripture Bible debate. I can. I have a Bible right here.
Yeah, of course. But like we might have to, right? If that's like kind of the foundation for like your belief that animals serve this purpose. Or at least this is one of the purposes that they serve.
Sure.
So I would ask, because to non-believers, of course, it is our perspective that scripture is just a book. Why exactly is it that you take this book to be more so like credible? I guess that's the question I would ask. Why do
Yeah,
you
I
take
mean,
this?
for me, I was just elaborating on why I like what my like belief is based off of. I wasn't
Right.
using this as necessarily an argument. I don't really like arguing that scripture has a base point because my scripture in my book that I believe is based on faith. You
Mhm.
know, it's stated like not to argue and obviously to defend your religion. You know, be martyred for it, be willing to die for it, but it's stated also at the same time that it's faith base. You know, we're not going to get every answer we want, especially because this book was dedicated to the people of the past, and even though it can be applicable to the people of the present, that's not was its initial purpose was made for. It's not meant to be a handle. It's meant to cover the story of the lineage of Abraham and Jacob. So that,
Sure.
you know, I'm not necessarily using it as an argument. I kind of don't want to. I kind of wanted to go away from that shit. You know, I don't really like using my Bible or for that, nor do I like debating theology much unless that's the debate topic. I was just more of saying, because you're saying, why did you grow up into this? That's why I grew up into this. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, I understand. So as like it serves as an explanation rather than a justification, and that's fine. We don't have to get into like the scripture and all, but the only reason I'm trying to push for a justification here is that when it comes to, I guess, the continued suffering of billions of creatures, there has to be some satisfying answer for why that's permissible, beyond just an explanation of how we've arrived at this point, right? So
I
that's kind of
think,
why I'm pushing for that.
yeah, I think that at the same time, it's important to understand that if you're gonna ask for my question or for my like necessary answer, like all of us have localized ideas and all of us have localized like beliefs and shit like that for why we think certain things are permissible. So to set a baseline for justification, I mean, obviously, if it's a reasonable just line, you can't just say, "Yeah, I do think this because you know, Canada drives with the best soda." Like, obviously, it has to be a leading justification, something that at least makes some sense. I mean, my justification is just that that's but I think to be true, I don't think that it is. And even though I understand that may be a circular, you may say it's like a viciously circular justification. At the same time, it's my localized understanding of why I think this. You know what I mean?
Okay. So it seems like you're self-aware of why someone might not find that to be a satisfying answer, because you seem to acknowledge it in your response there. Um, and
100%.
I guess my question to you is,
Not everyone's gonna agree with me.
yeah, of course, but that applies to every belief. But I guess the question for you is that if you can acknowledge why people would not find such an answer to be satisfying when it comes to the continuation of the suffering of billions of beings who seem to want to be alive and seem to have the capacity to suffer, then why is it that you, I guess, feel comfortable in continuing this lifestyle, despite the fact that it seems pretty unjustified even from your own admittance here?
I mean, just because I said no, obviously some people are not going to agree with me. I don't think that's a necessary conclusion to be led to. I think it's justifiable. I think many people around the world do it, and many people around many cultures around the world do. I think it's justifiable because my Bible says it's justifiable.
Mhm.
Even if you want to give another reason besides that, I think it's justifiable. That's just because it's my belief, That just because everyone's not going to agree with me doesn't necessarily mean that, like, that's wrong. I mean, we'll have people that are like, anti like meta theorists to like say 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4, even though we know that it has, a syntactical truth. You know what I mean? Or some people who are gonna, just shit like that.
Yeah, but
So that's all I was mean. That's all I meant. You know what I mean?
yeah, I guess I'm just not necessarily concerned with who does or doesn't agree with you, because as I said, every belief has its believers and non-believers. That's just making a trivial observation.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the reasoning behind these beliefs, I think that's what's important. What's up, Emash? Been a while. So let's just take this let's just extract this and bring it to like another example. Let's say that we have somebody who has been raised all their life to eat human beings, and their justification is kind of similar to yours, that that's how I raised, it's justified because I believe it, and vice versa. How would you respond to that individual?
I would just say, I don't know. I personally just think that justification is localized when it comes to something. So things, unless you have like a plausible or objective baseline for it, I think each and everything would be kind of localized to your own belief. That's actually what we were discussing right before we had this debate in like Kaizen, I want to say. I had the same belief I had in there. I think that if you don't have, that's why I said like I feel like it's just gonna get to better debating, because like at the end of the day, if you don't have an objective baseline or set standard, then I think at the end of the day, all it's gonna be is just us arguing about our localized beliefs, and you can't beg for like your own localized definition, even though some people may agree with your definition, even the consensus may, which I don't think the case. But if you like say, hey, I want a justification out of you, well, this is my justification. All right, I don't agree with your justification. I think this is wrong because my localized ideas and my localized thoughts tell me that that is not a reasonable justification. But then it's just going to get into a bunch of arguing about definitional stuff and stuff like that, because you asked for my opinion. You understand what I mean?
So I don't think that values being subjective compromises our ability to just come to like an understanding of what values are or are not unintuitive, or may I say even psychotic. So it may be the case that like we have subjective values, localized values. That can all be true, but it can still be the case that some consequences of our values can lead to things that, I mean, both you and I would agree are absolutely terrible. So, for example, we have
Terrible by whose idea, though?
Well, by our idea, of course. But when I say terrible, I'm saying yeah. So, like, I think that something we can agree upon is like Holocaust.
Is
Hitler,
eating
is a terrible thing, right?
I was just gonna say wait real quick because I was kind of a little confused. Is eating meat terrible to us? Is it our belief?
No. So it's my belief that engaging in our animal agriculture industry, I think that that's a bad thing. But I'm saying that I understand that our values are localized, but I don't think that that necessarily compromises our ability to make compelling and intuitive arguments for some values that seem less psychotic than others. I think you would agree with me to some extent.
I never said that. I do think that at this point, it's like you're kind of making it like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like you understand that it's subjective, but you're kind of trying to make it to your baseline. And what I'm trying to get at is that we both have different baselines for what's right and what's wrong. So you can't necessarily subject me to your baseline. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I can tell you why my baseline probably leads to, I guess, more intuitive consequences.
A more good result in your opinion.
Not even necessarily more good. I just think that, okay, so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to meet you in the middle on some values here, right? So we probably have some shared values, right? Like we believe that human slaughter is bad, and like the Holocaust was like a terrible thing. Would you agree with that? Is that something we both have a belief on?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, okay. So all I'm trying to say is that if we allow people to have justifications for the belief that boils down to nothing more than I'm justified in believing it because that's just what I believe, it's how I've always believed it, then we have no defense against people who would want to create a human Holocaust. And both of us would find that to be awful.
What is what is the defense for us? The only way to defend against that is to force your own. Like, and thankfully, they'd be forcing my opinion.
Yeah,
but I mean,
yeah.
the thing you have to understand is that at the end of the day, realistically, these baselines and stuff, if not objective, then they don't really matter. They matter, extrinsically to us. They don't have any intrinsically determinized value. I mean, the reason why is because when we think of something like the Holocaust, I'm pretty sure everyone in here agrees that it was bad. There's obviously going to be someone who doesn't agree it's bad. But why is it still going to get taken care of? And why is it still not going to happen again? Because these localized, ideas and stuff like that formed a general consensus that made, a nation gather up, multiple nations gather up and fight against it. Does that mean that was the objective, sense in that mind? No, it doesn't at all. Does that mean that it was the directly right sense of mind? No, not at all. There's no direct sense of mind. There's only a localized right sense of mind. And luckily, obviously, for that instance, that would be what I think too. And I'm pretty sure that's what you think. For animals, which is to a completely, obviously may not be to you, but to me it's to a lower degree, because again, I kind of find, I find humans and animals different, which I already specified in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But for something like animals, I think that there's a general consensus going for, hey, okay, well, I think that we should all eat meat. There's general consensus people all around the world that eats meat, even practice in multiple cultures, Abrahamic cultures, even in Judaic religion, things like that. At the same time, you have to understand, you're also capable to have your opinion of, I want to be vegan, stuff like that. But for you to I guess in a sense try to enforce it, I think that's kind of where you're drawing the gray area, because you can't enforce it. And for you to try to say, I'm going to make an argument for why it's more reasonable, which is completely acceptable and it's completely understandable, and that's completely different from forcing. But at the same time, if you're going to make an argument for that and kind of try to reason with me, form equal grounds with me, at the same time, in order for us to form equal grounds, it has to be a 50-50 understanding. And if we have understandings that are completely different and separated from each other, there's a dissonance that forms. And then none of us can really form a general consensus. Then we have to look at the purpose of why each of us are defending my stances. I'm saying that it's morally permissible, but it's also morally permissible to be vegan. You're saying it's not morally permissible to be anti-vegan. That's why I'm saying, it's kind of
sure,
we're kind of reaching a drawn area right there.
Well, so to be clear, it's not my prerogative to tell you that morals are objective, or even that things are only meaningful if they have inherent value. Neither of those two things are what I'm trying to do. However, I would say, and I would I would suspect that you agree with me on this, that even when it comes to things that we grant extrinsic value, surely those things are still meaningful, right? You have some value that you apply to other people, presumably. I don't know if you have siblings, do you?
Yeah, I have 6.
Yeah, if somebody broke into your house, right, and you tried to defend your siblings from that person, right? I think that demonstrates that your values are meaningful to you and that you're willing to enforce those values to some extent. I don't think that there's a contradiction in trying to enforce these values and recognizing that values are subjective. I just think that means that you realize, as well as I do, that just because values aren't objective and they're not inherent doesn't mean that they lack meaning. It doesn't mean that we can't act on them. So all I'm trying to do right now is not tell you that, oh, your moral system is objectively incorrect or any of that nonsense. All I'm telling you is that if we both agree, right, because this is the only way to actually make progress on the conversation when it comes to subjective morals. We find a meeting ground and then we build from there. If we both agree that human life is valuable, but our standards for moral justification are as shallow as what you presented me, which is just that it's justified because I believe it, then we can't make an argument and we can't enforce our beliefs against people who do believe that it's okay to genocide humans. And all I'm telling you there is that we should probably have a better standard. Even if it's not objective, we should probably have a better standard for morality if we both want to enforce what we believe to be true and what we believe to be valuable. That's all I'm trying to tell you right now.
Yeah. And all I'm trying to tell you is that, in a sense, it still doesn't really defeat what I said. At the end of the day, when you gave that house analogy, that breaking in the house and the extrinsic value, for sure I'd be pissed, bro. I'd want to kill him.
Of course. Of course.
But
what does that demonstrate other than...
Wait. Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead,
Does that mean at the end of the day, I was universally right? No. Does that mean someone else, if they disagree, does that mean they're wrong? No, not in any sense. Even though I want them to be wrong, I'm going to be frustrated. I'm going to think they're wrong. That's just how humans react. It doesn't mean they are wrong, though. At the end of the day, he can try. At the end of the day, even if I try to defend it, even if I try to say that he's wrong, at the end of the day, he still has his point of view that he can make, and that's the same with veganism. At the end of the day, you can try to make a reasonable argument and shit but all your reasonings and stuff like that are just leading down to nothingness at the end of the day, I feel like.
But here's what I'm curious about. When you defend your family from an intruder, what does that mean? To me, it means, and you can feel free to disagree, it means that in that moment, you are enforcing your values, and that would seem to indicate that you're treating them as objective. So we can talk about
wait. You think if I enforce my values, they're objective?
I'm saying you're treating them as objective. I don't think that you're just saying, well, my values are subjective, they're arbitrary, so I can't do shit.
That's what I said. That's what I said earlier.
Okay,
I
so
have
that's
no
what
problem with that.
So that's what I'm trying to
Was
zero
my
in
initial
on.
argument.
Well, that's what I'm trying to zero in on, right? That we can talk
Yeah.
about the nature of
So
morality.
what does
and
that
whether or not-
pertain?
Yeah.
What does that pertain to veganism?
So okay, so we're kind of getting into like that meta conversation area that you were talking about earlier, where
Yeah.
we can say that the nature of morality isn't necessarily objective. That maybe moral facts don't exist, but the truth is that both of us have certain moral values that we want to protect, and a prerequisite for actually doing that is making arguments to protect our values and to actually treat those values as objective, so that we have some reason to actually enforce them. So
Yeah,
that's all I'm
protect in
saying.
what? Protect in what sense?
In the sense that if there are people out there who are going to go against our values, that
Well,
we should
if they try
probably.
to, hell yeah, I
That's-
mean, if they try to take them away from us, if they're just calling them stupid or saying I don't agree, that
No,
has nothing to do
obviously
with
not. Obviously not.
what
But
I'm
like in the
doing.
sense,
I'm just saying I don't agree. It's like doesn't pertain to it at all.
okay. So what I'm asking you is that how do you have grounds? I guess this is what I'm asking you essentially. How do you have grounds to protect your values as we just laid out?
I don't have
And
grounds
do
to protect
any
my
of that
values.
stuff?
What value am I protecting?
Well, actually, it doesn't even matter. Just any value that you have. How are you?
Okay.
How do you have
I thought
any
you were
grounds?
referring to my stats. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
but hold
for
on.
my
Wait,
ground, I mean,
actually, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think for grounds, yeah, I have many grounds for many different ideas. I mean, you can make different arguments and pretty compelling arguments for different ideas. But for
Okay.
this one, like, all I'm saying is that you can be vegan. I can be anti-vegan. If you're going to say that I can't be anti-vegan and
Mhm.
make an argument for why you think that's the case and not make an argument for why I should, or if you make an argument for why I should, I give a refutation because the
Mhm.
argument based on why I should is completely formulated on completely different, on completely different values because we both share different values. Then at that point, it makes the entire argument pretty useless, don't you think? And it just brings it into a meta debate, right?
Well, I didn't even know that you presented an argument. What I heard was more of just a conclusion and a reinforcement of that conclusion. So that's what I'm trying to get at, is that if all you do
Well, we
is
can
enforce your
we can
values-
rephrase it. I mean, it doesn't really matter.
Oh,
You can
all I'm
you can
saying,
like the words. I mean, sure.
well, all I'm saying is that if the only means that you have to actually defend your values and why you have them is
What
that you
value
have
in this debate am I defending?
no,
You
wait,
asked me for my
I'm
opinion.
talking in general. I'm talking in general because when I
I'm
asked you
talking about
earlier-
this debate.
Okay, hold on. I'll tell you why I'm going down this line of reasoning.
Gotcha.
So, earlier, I asked you what your justification for being anti-vegan was, of course, and you know what you said, right? Everybody does. Like you gave the, well, I believe it. I'm justified in it because I believe it. That's essentially what it is. Do you?
Yeah, for sure. That's
Yeah.
all I need to give.
Well, what I'm saying is that the problem that arises because when we have any value that we wish to enforce, it seems like we wish to enforce our values. You confirmed that earlier, that you would protect your siblings. I just don't see how you could have any grounds to enforce those values at all if you don't even have an argument for why you have those values. You just happen to have them. So
I elaborated. It's because I don't see any objective. If there's no objective value for why I should, and it's all subjective, then I have no reason why. I think many people agree to that. That was the main consensus why. That's why I said yeah, because I think it is. That's the fucking reason why. It wasn't trying to be obnoxious. It wasn't trying to be obnoxious and shit. I elaborated.
No, I don't think.
I did.
Yeah, I don't think you were trying to be obnoxious either. But I guess like the absurdity of it comes in when, again, we can both acknowledge that morality doesn't necessarily have any objectivity to it. But I would like to think that when I construct my moral values, I'm operating on a level that's like higher and more, I guess, intellectual than just I believe it. Because at that point, I mean, there are people that act on their instincts, like rapists and murderers, that have as good of a justification as you do. And so
I was gonna say, is that really the case, or did I say that? At the end of the day, it is a. So can you please mute your mic?
Can I moderate? Oh, my phone.
Dude, can you shut the fuck up? Oh my fucking god, my ears. Anyways, back to what I was saying. But yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, it comes kind of different, because I was like, dude, if I'm saying right now that there's no objective meaning in it, it's all subjective. It means I can just personalize my subjective view. That's all I'm getting at. I've seen no reason to either. I don't see a reason why I should. That's all I'm saying.
So,
That's what I said in the beginning. That's why I said it. Yeah, I think it because I think it. It's because I am. It's
I agree
rarely
that you're being. I agree that you're being consistent. Absolutely, I wouldn't accuse you of being inconsistent here.
That's not what
But
I'm
and,
saying.
and I guess I'll make one more point to emphasize. I guess can you at least understand like the frustration here? Because if you were like if you were in like an argument with somebody, and I'm sorry to like keep making these analogies personal, but I think that that's the best way to get the point across and have it have the most impact possible. If you were arguing with somebody who's like, here's the deal, Archimedes, I'm gonna break into your house, I'm gonna take all your shit, I'm gonna kill your entire family, and you can't do shit about it. What and you're like, okay, I don't think you should do that. Why are you justified in doing that? And that person is like, well, I believe I'm justified in doing it. Do you think that do you understand the frustration that you might have in that situation?
For sure, but I think that's a little that different. Actually, that's the exact same. But wait, the problem is the conclusion you're reaching is the same. Yeah,
I
I
think
could be frustrated.
Mhm.
I could be angry as shit. I would have killed that guy.
Mhm.
But is he wrong or do I think he's wrong?
Well, I'm saying that if you can't even think that he's wrong, that's my point.
I mean, that's
though. You
the.
don't if you
No,
if you
I
can't think that
can.
he's
I
okay.
can think, but is he wrong though? That's what I'm trying to.
So if he's not objectively incorrect in that scenario, does that mean that he's as validated in thinking that as you are in thinking that you want to protect your family?
That's life.
Okay. So
Life's
so
not
what do we
fair.
what do we do in that situation, right? I would say that when people have differing moral values, because people do, I think that you kind of have to reach across the aisle to these people, find some common ground, and you have to build from there. But I don't think that you can literally you can't just swing your arms up, right, and say that, well, shit, I have no grounds objectively to say that he's wrong.
I think I have grounds. I made myself grounds.
Sorry, you can like have grounds to say that you think he's wrong. But I'm saying that
I don't
he's
think any of
not.
us have grounds to say that the person is wrong if there's no baseline for saying that someone is wrong, other than your own.
Okay, so that's all I'm getting at actually is that there is a baseline for making the argument that. Good.
So what baseline? I think this maybe because I feel like we're kind of like
Yeah, we might be.
I feel like we're getting yeah. I was gonna say so. I'll just say this. What is your baseline? I'm trying to understand you.
Okay, so my baseline in this setting was that there seems to be an unnecessary suffering caused by creating demand for the animal agriculture industry, and that suffering that we're causing to these animals seems to be a bad thing. I wouldn't want to suffer, so I don't know why these animals should have to.
So pain and murder is like your baseline, right? Which is reasonable, right? That's okay.
Or I guess
But
we
the
could
problem-
say I guess we could say unnecessary.
Okay,
So that, you know.
that oh yeah, I was gonna assume that. I'm not gonna rat you out. But I was gonna say okay. So I understand that, but what it's being applied to is like where we're kind of disagreeing on. Like I just don't find any real value in this animals.
Okay.
The only value. Well, no, I'll say I find value, just not value enough to like if my dog gets murdered, I'm gonna like feel discomfort and be like, oh, that's
Right.
gruesome. And I'm probably
Wait, would
it's
you
gonna
take
feel
a
weird. It's gonna feel weird as shit. But I'm not gonna be mad at the person. I'm gonna definitely say, yo, get the fuck away from my dog, bro. But I'm not
So
gonna
would you consider it immoral to kill your dog?
moral what?
Would you consider it immoral to kill your dog for someone to do that?
This is gonna sound really fucked up. I'm gonna talk to you a little bit later, folks, about why I think this. No, I don't think it's morally bad. I know it's gonna sound really. I have reason. I'm not gonna elaborate fully on like why I grew up to things. I'm just gonna say, yeah, I do.
Okay,
I definitely do.
That's fine. I just wanted to see if you did or not. I guess we could probably move past the ethical argument because there's probably nowhere for us to go from here.
Yeah.
You're just gonna stand your ground. Anyway, do you want to move on to like? I guess maybe there's like an ecological argument that we could discuss.
A what argument?
Sorry, it's like an environmental argument that like the animal agriculture industry has been horrible for our environment.
I mean, yeah, I actually have no, that I agree. There is definitely cons to it.
Yeah. So like, well, huge cons actually. Like a large part of like deforestation and releasing carbon into the atmosphere that stems from that industry. And it seems like it would probably be a lot more efficient and clean if we were to just not indulge in that industry, rather go more of a vegan route, right?
Yeah, if you think that, then I'm probably still not going to because I don't really care about that.
You don't
But
care about if you have like a healthy world to live on?
I mean, well, that's only because like I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
For me, and this is gonna sound. I feel like honestly, that's just because I'm young, but I really don't give a fuck about the planet, man. I really don't.
Okay. So
I
wait,
really do not, in any sense or any way.
do you think that Okay.
I
So
think that
wait,
if we die, we
are
die.
you wait. So if you were to experience like the results of this pollution of our planet in your lifetime, would it be something that you'd care about?
I mean, yeah, if it was, I mean, yeah, but at the same time, it's like I understand. I don't know. From my understanding, this is the way I think about it. I think we're all like destined to die. I think the planet was gonna die out either way. Sure, we sped up the process, but it was gonna die any fucking way. Fuck cares? Just live your life
Yeah.
now. Focus
So
it now.
wait,
That's what I think. I don't really care about it.
is this advice that you would give to anybody that you like just live your life?
Advice I'd give to them, I'd give live your life the most non-stressful way you can. I wouldn't say apply my logic to things because my logic is based off what I've seen. But I'd
Well,
say live your life the most stressful you can. That's all I'd say.
okay. So if there's an existential problem
That's crazy. That's crazy.
just because we don't want to have the stress of having it in our mind, so you just put it out of sight, out of mind. Is that kind of like the point that you're at right now?
What do you say?
Pardon?
Didn't hear you fully.
Well, I was saying that when it comes to like existential crises, which might not actually like come about until like a few decades from now, are you saying that you kind of just put those out of mind so that you can live a more stress-free life?
Yeah, 100%. I think that when it happens, we'll focus on it then. I don't want to like get my shit. I don't want to like live
you
like a
think that
stressful life worrying about that shit. That's what I think.
okay. So do you think that okay, here's the problem. Right. Let's say you want to live a stress-free life, kind of as you've said, right? If we were to address the
Keep
problem,
in mind all of us have different stress factors. Also keep that in mind.
I got you. Don't you think that it would be less stressful on an individual to, or even as a society, to address the problem now and kind of have time to work with it now rather than having to address it when it's literally coming about? So like a good example might be if you're in school, right?
Procrastination.
You would probably want to study for a test a few days before the test. That way you have time each night to study it. It's not that stressful. But if it's literally the night before the test and you're like, oh shit, I haven't studied at all, and you just cram an 8-hour study session all night, that's probably going to be a little bit more stressful than if you had just chosen the alternative. So what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I'm just a fucking procrastinator, dude.
Yeah, but like, aren't you most stressed when it's
I think
last
that
minute?
yeah, for that specifically, I mean, yeah. The only reason why is just I feel like that's a little bit different. Because for school and shit, because I'm in school right now, shit like that. I know there's a deadline. No.
Mhm.
I think about it like, okay, I have to be faced with this thing. I'm gonna have to do this thing. I'm gonna have to be faced with the whole planet thing. At the same time, I feel like just maybe because it's not like coming about like within the next like 5 years, it's not gonna affect the money income I get to
Yeah,
that
but
degree. I mean, at least early in my life,
I think that's
I don't really care about that shit.
I think that's just a lack of scope on your end, though, because you can understand that it's more stressful to cram for an exam the last minute before it happens. But when we're talking about something that's going to take decades to kind of develop, I understand why you're pushing it to the back of your mind so much. That's why we call it an existential threat, because it's not in our immediate future. But just think about this. If you're that stressed over cramming for an exam, last minute, how stressed do you think you're going to be when we're having a global crisis, right? And you've done nothing to address it until last minute.
Yeah.
I think that this is a counterintuitive way of going about it if you value not being stressed.
I mean, I think that at the end of the day, I mean, that's kind of interesting. I mean, I didn't think of it like that, but I did think of it as like, I realize right now, if I do everything in my power to avoid destroy it, I realize that many people, obviously, that was going to contribute to that, so there's no point, anyways, for me at least, because I feel like the results still happen. B, I just feel like at the end of the day, I just shouldn't be focusing that and worrying about that. Like me being 15, you know what I mean?
Well, I'm not asking you to like worry about it specifically. All I'm saying is that this is probably something that we should we should address, and a way in which you can address it and you can help address it, and that way is to stop kind of creating demand for this market that heavily contributes to this stress in our environment, right? So that's a way that you can individually contribute, and then if everybody contributes in that way, then collectively you can definitely make a meaningful change there. So like, I'm not asking you to be like the next like Greta Thunberg or whatever, and you go out on like international like speech events and do all this shit. This is like relatively bare minimum ask almost.
I mean, yeah, but that ask alone, I feel like, I don't know, I just don't want to. The reason why is because I feel like I want to do more shit. I want to do other shit with my life, nigga.
Well, wait. How much are you forfeiting by not purchasing from the animal agriculture industry? What are you losing out on? You can still pursue your hobbies, right?
I'm losing out on eating meat, bro. I just ate fucking like barbecue chicken wings yesterday, bro. I want that shit.
So wait. So, are you not satisfied with eating meat alternatives that taste like meat?
I mean, I used to be vegan because my mom was a vegan. She actually still have tons of shit down there. She had a under she,
okay.
You know, she always because of her health condition. You know, she ate turmeric and shit. She used to be vegan, so I know what it looks like. I've tasted this shit. I just dislike it because it tastes weird to me.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of
I know about meat alternatives.
Maybe you guys. It might just be like a matter of product selection, right? I would say that you should test out different products to see what's right for you, because that's going to be true of everybody, right? You're going to make a diet. Not all food is going to satisfy your diet. You just have to kind of test waters. But I think what I'm talking about here is a matter of discipline. I think you have to have a level of discipline when you're thinking ahead about the consequences of your actions, right? And not necessarily your individual actions, but the actions of society at large. But I mean, you are an individual within society, and if you want society to make a change, you have to reflect that change in your behavior, I would say.
Yeah, but I guess like internally, I just don't really care about the change to that degree anymore.
Okay.
You're like arguing with somebody who like doesn't care about the death. That's why I said I figured it was gonna get into this shit. That's why honestly, that's why I said at the beginning for you, like before it Kaizen, it's gonna lead to like I feel like nowhere. Because at this point, you're arguing with someone who's just like a prime level subjectivist, someone who doesn't. And I'll explain like afterwards when we go into like another call why I think this. I think you'll understand. But
Okay.
I just don't want to say this in public soon, but you're arguing with someone I'm like not gonna change my opinion. And if you're gonna make a valid argument, I'm just gonna make an opposing argument to that, talking about baselines, because I feel like all your arguments are just talking about baselines. No, I'm not hiding arguments. I don't have any more arguments than I'm getting now. So I feel like that's all I need to say.
Well, I could sympathize with that somewhat on the ethical argument, because I understand that people's moral values can come from different areas, right? But I feel like that's a lot less applicable when we're talking about like the environment. And I get it that there's a certain level of normativity when I say that we should do things to protect the environment, but I feel like that's not even really a localized goal. I think that the global community could acknowledge that, hey, if we're going to live on this earth, we probably need a healthy earth to begin with. So I can sympathize with this ultra subjectivism a lot less when we're talking about the environment. That's what I would say. But if we have truly come to an impasse, I'll admit to you right now, I don't think there's an argument in the world that can address somebody just saying I don't know infinitely. So I mean, I just have to move on.
Yes,
Okay.
you just wanna just Just end this then.
If you want, sure.
Yeah, sure. I feel like, yeah, it's kind of useless.
Okay.